Hey everybody, Venturous again. I know it's been quite a long time since I made another video, but to be honest, I kind of missed it, and I've gotten a lot of ideas from people on maybe some new videos to make. This is one that I've never covered before, and I've never really touched on really at all in the past. And that's the topic of aerials, or like when you basically let the saber go. Classic examples are that, there's different variations of it. There's a lot of people that do them nowadays, but there's still a lot of people that don't know how to do them or do them effectively, so I thought I'd make a video on these. And basically, aerials, they come in two flavors. There's one-handed switches, or one-handed aerials, and two-handed aerials. One-handed is kind of your classic, well, the easiest one to do is actually taking a reverse, or a standard grip, and just swapping to a reverse grip. Basically, you're just tossing the saber up and catching it in reverse grip. Letting the saber go, flipping the hand over, catch. That is your basic aerial, okay? What is this used for, you might say? Practically nothing. The only use I would think of would be maybe like a taunt, that kind of thing, where you're just kind of switching to reverse grip for a moment and then switching back. You could do it even to go into some strikes in reverse grip, something like that, but typically that's not something that's going to be too useful to you, or even if you're just flourishing the saber for your own fun. The real flourishes with aerials come with the rotation of the saber itself. One such one would be a one-handed aerial going from standard grip to reverse grip, but instead of doing it like that, you're actually, letting the saber do at least a half rotation, like that. You're just tossing it up. As it comes over, you grab. And there's no real good way of teaching, I mean, you can definitely go into the science of this. Like, the two factors that create an aerial are the height you throw it and the speed at which you start the rotation. I'm not going to go into all that. This is kind of something you just have to get by feel. It's something that you're going to drop the saber a lot before it actually comes to you. I will say, the more rotations you go for, obviously the harder it gets to catch it. So if you're just learning these, start with that one I just showed you, that half rotation. And again, you will drop this multiple times. I would recommend doing this over grass, a carpet, or even leave the hilt off and just use your blade. Okay? Because typically the blades are made to where if you drop them, it's not going to do that much damage to them. So just practice with the blade. Okay? But when you get the movement down and you can kind of gauge when to catch, add the hilt back. Now, it is going to change because you're going to have all this extra weight on the end. So you may have to play with it a little bit to kind of get the feel for it again, because it is going to change the dynamic of the throw. And again, this is something you really can't teach, you just kind of have to play with, but hopefully this will give you some pointers. Now, what is that good for, you might ask? This is good for like transitional stuff. If anyone has seen Daniel Lane's videos, or Lucian Kane, he uses that a lot when he's doing his flourishes. He'll switch there, switch back, and go into his stuff. So he'll use that a lot when he's coming out of that shoulder roll. He'll switch there, and then switch back. Shoulder roll, switch, and switch. So that would be a good use for that. It's kind of a transitional thing between while you're moving, while you're doing routines, that kind of thing. Now that's pretty much the basics of one-handed switches. Again, you can vary like the height you throw it, the speed at which the saber rotates. But for right now, just focus on those two, basic hand switch, and then that half rotation. Because aside from that, it does get harder the higher you throw and the more you rotate the blade. Now the second variation is like the two-handed switches, and that comes in with the full rotation. like that. Basically, you're tossing the saber, and you don't even need to toss it high for this. You can leave it pretty much right in front of your body and do this. So you'll see a lot of people, when they start this, they'll try to toss it really high, just so they give themselves enough time to catch the blade. You can do that at first, but aerials typically look the best when they're, you know, right in front of you, because the lower you keep the aerial, typically the faster it moves. Now, and that's because you have to kind of start the rotation a little bit faster to get it to rotate in that amount of time. So, and I call this a full rotation because if you think of the blade passing 12 o'clock, it's coming up, there's one pass, and then as it comes around again, it's passing again as you catch it. So that's a full rotation. You can see that there. And I'm dropping this thing like a fool today. So up, up. And this is a good way to practice these. These are typically used more than one-handed rotations because, again, they make a good transition. Like if you come out of that shoulder roll, you can toss there. You know, you can do a full rotation there. I have done this before in my Saber Shadows video. So that would be a good use for that. Another good use for that is actually a move that I was shown by my friend Nino. And basically what that is it's a transition behind the back into that area. So from the back side it would look like that. You're basically going into a vertical backspin into that throw. Like that. Another good use for that would be kind of if you're doing what I call the blade barrier. Behind the back, throw, over. Kind of like that. So it's kind of a transitional move in a way. And that's what you'll find a lot with aerials. It's really not a move in and of itself. It can be, but typically when you see it, it's more of a transitional move between moves. You know, like that shoulder roll throw into like the plum flower. Or that one I just showed you where behind the back, throw, over, and then down. So again, the best way to practice these, obviously start with one hand. You know, that basic switch. Then you can try that half rotation switch. You know, and you can do this on both hands, kind of get the feel for it. So once you've mastered those, again, do this on carpet or something other than like concrete, obviously. And then you can progress to that full rotation switch, like that. Again, if you need to toss the blade or the saber kind of high to begin with, you know, you can just kind of get a feel for it. Kind of get a feel for how heavy the saber is and how it moves with momentum. But eventually you want to get to the point where you can just right in front of you, like that. Okay? Because that's going to look the best, it's going to have the most speed, typically. And then once you get good at that, then you can start combining those areas like that. So you're going from one into the other. Then you can actually create these moves as moves in and of themselves instead of more transitional moves, okay? So that was just kind of my quick video on aerials. Again, it is something that you do have to practice a lot. Don't get frustrated because you will drop the saber multiple times. It is just something that you have to pick up by feel. There's really no good way of breaking this move down and teaching it. It's just something you just have to work through. So hopefully that helped you. I'll try to get some more videos out as soon as I get some more ideas for them, and thanks for watching. Have a good one.